Over the last 3 years, I've been a consistently profitable trader. I have over $1 million in funding and almost $500,000 in payout. And it all comes down to one 5-minute routine that I run every single morning to find my daily bias. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the exact 3-step system that you can implement right now that only takes about 5 minutes per day. If you can actually sit through this video and do this every single morning, I guarantee you'll be a better trader. So with that being said, let's get into step 1 of this system. Now, a big mistake I see a lot of people make is they try and do everything at once when trying to find their daily bias. They'll be marking out every little thing while simultaneously trying to read what the market's telling them, while also trying to figure out the direction the market wants to take. They're multitasking, and every study that's ever been made had showed that the human brain is not supposed to multitask. And speaking from personal experience, when you do this, in this case, right, your daily bias is gonna be inaccurate because you're gonna miss things and just jump to conclusions. So before anything, we need to mark every single thing on the chart that can influence our daily bias. So that's higher time frame fair value gaps, SMTs, equal highs, equal lows, session highs, session lows, standard deviation levels, OTE levels, whatever fits into that day's daily bias, that's the confluence you're gonna use. So let me show you what this looks like in practice on the chart here. I'm open to a random day right now, and I'm just gonna map out what I see here. What do I see here? I see that we had a data wick at 8:30. I think it might've been like PPR or something because it was on Wednesday. And then we also have relative equal lows here, 3 of them, and they also mark out with London low too, because the lowest point we got from 3 a.m. to 9:30. So we have one London low, we have a data wick, and we have relative equal lows, 3 of them. So that might be the best draw on liquidity I've ever seen. Let me go in the higher time frame to see some gaps. So I see we have a 15-minute fair value gap right there. Let's go to the 30. Let's see if we have anything as well. We also have a 30-minute gap right there. And then obviously this high right here, which is Asia high. And let me see what we're delivering from as well. We're actively disrespecting bullish gaps. So that's already telling me a little bit of bearish bias. So as you can see, I'm just strictly mapping everything out and marking it out on my chart. I'm not trying to make anything of it just yet, or because I want to make sure I'm approaching this with like a clear head so it's accurate. Let's see if we have an SMT with ES as well. We do have an SMT with ES on the hourly. Let's see if we have one on the 4-hour too. Okay, we also do. So in that 30 seconds right there, I marked out data low, London low, relative equal lows, a couple fair value gaps that are on the higher time frame which are needed, as well as an SMT. Let me check one more thing, which is the standard deviation. So my standard deviation projects us to go even lower than our point here. And I know it's gonna be valid because at our 2.25 point and on kind of our mid golden pocket of our standard deviation, we did have a reaction, but we did complete our bearish trend, but not to the expansion, lining up with this 15-minute gap down there. And now we can move on to step 2, where we start to get a little bit deeper. Now this step is fundamentally the most important part of the system, to be completely honest with you. So if you go wrong on this part, your daily bias will be inaccurate, just the truth of it. But honestly, I wouldn't worry too much because it's very simple. You just gotta watch this through. And before I show you, the reason that this is so important is because step 2 is where we are gonna be analyzing what we just marked out on our chart in step 1. So instead of predicting what the market's gonna do, we're analyzing. We're gonna be reacting accordingly with what the market wants to do based on what we find. So kind of brainstorming here, we have our draw on liquidity, which is the data low, London low, and equal lows. It's pretty locked in. I would honestly quit trading if that doesn't get hit. We'll see in a second. But we're also delivering from a couple higher time frame bearish gaps over here. So I'm obviously bearish from here. Again, the first thing we even need to look at is, are we disrespecting bullish or bearish gaps? We are disrespecting all of these bullish gaps here in order to keep going to the downside and even filling this 1-hour gap as well as this 4-hour, and still reacting to the downside, not immediately going to take these highs out here. So overall, I'm bearish. I'm just looking for something that really confirms it on the higher time frame of a delivery sense, right? We have our draw on liquidity, but we also need a strong delivery. I'm thinking that this will deliver just off of that 1-hour gap that is unsponsored, but it is also pushing us down as we speak. So, and kind of looking at this again too, on the 1-hour, we also have an unfilled, unmitigated 1-hour bullish gap below our draw on liquidity that we could also tap into as well. But yeah, so now that I have a general idea of what the market might want to do here, we can now move on to step 3 and finish our daily bias. But yeah, if I'm being real with you, daily bias isn't that hard. You guys just watch me get up to this point just in a couple minutes. Like, I made all of that in a couple minutes. And also, my student Nick always thought it was hard too, but after teaching him this system and all of my other trading systems, and he finally became a consistent trader after blowing accounts because he didn't really have a profile on the day. He didn't know his daily bias. It wasn't clear to him That was his biggest chokehold. And also Saim, who took my systems and applied them to go from a broke construction worker and college kid to now funding his other businesses with 30K months from trading. Now, those are just two of the results from my mentorship program of many. So if you're looking to take the next step in your trading journey, you can click the top link in the description. Now with daily bias, finding a daily bias itself isn't that hard. But what is hard is sticking to it, right? And I know you've heard it again and again that trading is this mindset game and you're tired of hearing it, but that's literally just the truth. And you know, and I know we've both done it before where we had a daily bias and we had a plan and we just got off the plan because of our emotions. So in step 3, we're gonna lock in our plan in writing. And what I do, I go through a step process of writing it down too. First, I need a delivery. Where are we delivering from? Are we sponsored by a higher time frame gap, SMT, whatever it is? What are we delivering from in order to go in the way we want it to go? Secondly, most important, draw on liquidity. Where are we targeting, right? Because you can't just think price is just gonna keep going. You can just put a trailing stop and wherever it goes, it goes. You need a spot where it's gonna magnet towards. Third, I'm gonna look at, are we respecting bullish or bearish gaps on the higher time frame? I like to look at like the 4 hour, 1 hour, and 30 minute when I look for that system. So before we keep going through those steps, let me take you through them step by step in a real experience. Okay, first, what are we delivering from? Right here, if we look internally, we are delivering to the downside from a 1 hour bearish gap. And 1 hour and 4 hour gaps are probably the most used gaps that I use for delivery. So we are delivering from 1 hour bearish fair value gap. We also have an SMT with ES at these highs. As you can see, ES took those previous highs and NQ did not take those previous highs. So we'll put that right there. We have an SMT with ES to the downside. Okay, now let's go into our draw on liquidity. Now, what is a draw on liquidity? It is basically a liquidity point on the chart where price is drawn to, where it magnets to. I like to use that term. Like I showed you guys earlier, we might have the most clear draw on liquidity in this day of all time. We have a data wick, which is one of the most used draws on liquidity. We also have relative equal lows here with all 3 of these lows, and it happens to be London low as well. And not just that, if that wasn't good enough for you, we also have a 1 hour bullish gap that we are targeting. So let's write that down. London low, relative equal lows, and data wick. So that is our draw on liquidity as well as the 1 hour bullish for value gap. So this is looking like an A+ bias to the downside. Now the next thing I need to find has nothing to do with before I take a trade. I need to figure out what I would need on the lower time frames in order to get a good entry. So at this point here, all I'm looking for is an IFVG to the downside, an inverse fair value gap to the downside. If you guys have not watched my free course video, I go over how I use IFVGs for my entry models. Go ahead and watch that. I think it's the last video I posted. But when I look for IFVGs, I look for the highest time frame possible inversion in my setup. So in this case, we have a 3 minute there. Let's see. We also, no, we do not have a 5 minute. So 3 minute IFVG right here would be my entry point. So all I need for this last couple steps is a candle closure on the 3 minute time frame below this 3 minute IFVG. But once we get into the trade, Luca, where are we taking our partials, right? Good point. A part of the daily bias is also looking at your partials, not just your full draw on liquidity. Right here, we have a 5 minute gap that is unfilled. We have a 15 minute unmitigated gap. So guess where my break even is gonna be? Right at this low, right when we tap into that 15 minute unfilled gap at 942. And my second TP, or first TP, would be at the fill of that 30 minute gap, just in case we want to edge these lows or ES takes them. So let's go ahead and write down everything so it is in writing. It's very, very important. So we have everything except our entry model and our partial. So let's write that down. We need a 3 minute IFVG close in order to enter shorts. And then finally, we are going to take partials at 15 minute unmitigated fair value gap. So let's see exactly how this would play out and how I would take it in real time. So as soon as price closes below this 3 minute IFVG, I will enter the trade. I'm gonna make sure I have my partials set at that unmitigated fair value gap. So if we're in a sell position, I'm gonna do a buy limit for 2 contracts. And then obviously our full TP would be right here. So let's see how it plays out in real time. As soon as it closes below, I will enter the trade. Boom, close below, stops above the highs, and that partial down there, full TP is at these lows. Let's see how it plays out. And full TP hit, just like that. Plan worked out extremely well. Let's see if it hit this 1 hour, yep. Hit the 1 hour fair value gap as well. And that was literally perfect. I couldn't have drawn that up better. I also post my daily buys every single morning in my Discord. If you want to join my Discord, it's in the link in my Instagram bio for free. I live trade every single day in my VIP. Go get that 3-day free trial. It might be up by the time this video is out. All right, so now you know exactly how I find my perfect daily bias with my 3-step process. And if you're watching this and feel like you are ready to take that next step in your journey towards consistency, I've been helping people like Caden, who is in the same spot that you are in right now when he first joined my mentorship. I remember him telling me he was playing basketball in college and he didn't really want a real job in corporate America, and he really didn't know what he wanted to do. So we gave trading a shot, and he is clearing $50,000 months just from payouts now, and he gets to do whatever he wants. It's crazy. I know, it's literally crazy. I feel so good about that. But that's just one person I helped. I've helped people like Bill, who has a regular job and he's supplementing his income so he can spend more time with his kids, making thousands and thousands of dollars a month from our system. And Sime, who was a broke college kid, construction worker, now having $30,000 months, catching up with me, honestly, in his payouts. And I hope to see you there next. If you want to apply, it is the top link in my description. Thank you for watching.